Good morning and welcome to episode 58 of Tech A Break with me, Adam Walker from Hubspoke Media and...
Wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Wrong.
With me, Andrew Reid from Resilient Business... No, hang on.
Good morning.
And Adam Walker from Hubspoke Media.
Yeah, that's me.
That's you.
We're in comfy chairs.
We're in comfy chairs. It's a new setup. It's a new layout.
Well, do you know what? We did a webinar with ModeShift.
I saw the photographs.
Also
Excellent
work with,
stuff.
Yeah, and they
Excellent.
wanted a lounge-style TV set style thing. Mm-hmm. And this was the result. But said, Jess and Lena, could you, by any chance, change it around after we had another podcast in? And this was the result.
That's great, isn't it?
I actually really like it.
I really like it as well.
Yeah.
Nice.
These are the chairs that we actually started the podcast on in
our office.
Yeah.
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 Have you noticed we've got a guest?
We've got a guest. Hello, good morning.
I wouldn't normally be so quiet, to be honest. My father would have a field day on this
Absolutely.
one.
Really?
First time I've piped down in years.
For the sake of our lovely listeners, all two of them. Yes. Would you care to introduce yourself?
I'm Katherine Mathews, and I run The Absolute Word. So it's freelance copywriting and content, and dabbling in other bits and pieces, Englishy wise. And then I also run MSG Business Elevate, which is a networking organisation with a sort of local base with a regional reach, I suppose.
That includes me because I live in MSG.
Yes.
And I used to live in MSG.
Did you? You did. I forgot about that.
I did. Moved out 2019.
Oh.
But yeah, I used to live in Middleton St George.
I moved in 2018, so I hope it wasn't a
No, it wasn't
coincidence that you
it
left.
Wasn't you. It wasn't.
When he says he moves out, we banned him.
Yeah, I got removed.
City limits.
I got removed. But yeah, what I must say is when I saw MSG Business Elevate appear, I was like, how vibrant does that look?
Oh, thank you.
Honestly,
Yeah.
100%.
Thank you
And
very
you
much.
could give us more detail about what it is. But all I'd say is vibrancy is my takeaway
Oh,
in
that's
terms of
really
when I first
kind.
saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Thank
like,
you
it's
very
brilliant.
much.
And having lived in the village previously, I was like, yes, that's brilliant. That's
And
brilliant.
that's, to be fair, and I will be honest, when we said this to Katherine, we were very proud to sponsor or be part of the sponsorship for MSG Elevate. Obviously, in terms of MSG, I was like, do I expect to get any biz from this? Probably not. But should I support the village? Should I support MSG? Absolutely, I should.
Yeah.
So it was great to be there. Met some lovely people, and I think that's more about what Michelle was saying. It's me and Adam have this conversation all the time, Katherine. Like, should I really go to an expo? Should I really go? I won't get any business. I'll just get other suppliers. Michelle came away, and I think he was talking about Tracy, the
Oh, yes,
the
from
lady
Flow and
that's like,
Flourish.
yeah.
Yes,
And Michelle came away with that and went, oh my Lord, I'm so glad I went. Well, there you go. The day's been perfect then.
Yeah.
We've got one contact. We've got one piece of extra business, not for us, but for them.
Yeah.
But it's the right thing to do. And I'm like, job done.
Perfect.
No,
yeah.
so really good.
Oh, thank you very much. I think that's it. Is about the expo itself is about ideally selling or creating business on the day if possible, but it's not necessarily going to be that immediate transaction. It
No.
will be something that hopefully has more of a long-term ripple effect. I was speaking to Ruth Watson from Ecologico on Tuesday night. She came and spoke at Evening Elevate, and she was saying she didn't sell very much on the day. She had her van there. She has a mobile van that does refills and all that sort of stuff, lots of eco products. But she didn't sell very much, and she hadn't done the previous year. But what she did then get was one conversation with one person that opened doors to 28 potential workshops.
Well, there you go.
Then a connection with another supplier that she's going to then be collaborating with on these clothing swishers, where you do a clothes swap.
Yeah.
And then another conversation with someone else that opened up another door to something else. And so you wouldn't do that amount of business on the day, but those sorts of conversations and further workshops are going to open more and more doors from just one thing.
100%.
My feeling with the expo is it is about those conversations. And in fact, if it had been absolutely rammed, you wouldn't have a chance to have those
Correct.
conversations. So although it can feel a bit sort of peaks and troughs of steadiness and quiet, it means you've then got the chance to speak to other stall holders, which is the whole point as well. And when I do the map of where I'm laying everyone out, I try and be quite conscious about who I'm putting people next to.
Yes.
So that it encourages potential collaborations. They might be a good fit, or they might know someone that they could work with. So it's about that connectivity, I think, as well.
Sorry, Adam, go on.
No, sorry, I was just saying we've talked massively about networking.
Oh God,
haven't
yes.
we? And there's networking. When I first started out, I was going along to, I was like, hello,
I'm here.
yeah, and I think it's easy when you start business to go and go, right, I'm going to get a sale.
Yeah.
Right. And we've talked about it where I was like, I went to networking and I had people handing me their business card.
Straight away.
Didn't even know
no
the name.
conversation.
Yeah, not hello. It was hello as the business card landed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't even know what you do, what's relevant.
Yeah.
It's like, it's I liken networking to being in the pub or a cafe.
Correct.
Where you just sort of, say you're waiting for a friend and you're stood at the bar or the counter and you sort of staff are busy preparing your order or whatever, you'll often turn around and you might say, oh, the weather today. That's the usual go-to in England, the weather. Or
with me, it's have you won again,
often,
otherwise the sponsorship is cancelled.
Yeah, for me, he's my rugby sponsorship. We won again, for the record. Good. It was a close game.
It was, you said it was a very close game.
Yeah, I was like almost crying on the pitch going, Andy might not sponsor me anymore. We better score. Somebody score. My clothes will be taken
motivation.
Off me. Yeah, I was like, my clothes are about to be taken off me.
Absolutely.
Because Andy's going to take them back. But it's that sort of thing where, when you're, even in the rugby club, you came along to Sponsors Day last year.
I did.
You were talking to all sorts of people. I think the thing to get away from is so important. This is what I love about how you present it. Your logo's got all the colours under the sun going on with the like people.
Yeah.
Like arms, kind of like. Go and have a look on Instagram. But it's
Follow
like,
us on Instagram.
It's like a circle with like arms reaching round, and it's like community, like.
And that's what it's about.
There are like 8. I don't know how many
Yes,
there
I
are.
think so.
Yeah,
6 to 8, something
6
like
to
that.
8 different coloured
Can't remember
people
now.
in a like a wave shape in a circle, which is kind of like, I just think it's really strong.
Yeah, exactly.
And it kind of, for me, captures what business networking should be all about.
Yeah, I'd started networking in person January 22. I hadn't done anything before that. Everything else had been online, Zoom, post-COVID kind of. I'd had a baby in peak of COVID 2020, was on mat leave from teaching, isolated from 4 months pregnant, basically through till he was a year old, and I was meant to go back to teaching, by which point I was terrified of leaving the house and didn't want to be in a situation I couldn't control. So I very, very soon into the mat leave, when it actually started, thought I need to do something that I could potentially have as an exit strategy.
Yes.
So everything had been online, and I hadn't had a need to go into in-person stuff because I'd got an existing network on LinkedIn, dormant, but existing from 7 years before. Edinburgh, London, uni connections, that sort of thing. And then I set that back up again, and I didn't really need to be outdoors because everything I had was tech-based.
Absolutely, yeah.
But when I had my second baby in October 22, I had to be running a business at the same time. I hadn't got something I needed to build up. I'd got something that was running, and I needed to be making sure I was actually marketing it and doing lead gen. And with the way that the statutory mat pay works for self-employed parents, you can only earn your statutory mat pay.
Correct.
You can't freelance on top of that because you're effectively freelancing. You don't get occupational mat pay.
No.
And all the savings that I'd put inside ready for the baby coming, within a week we spent on our dog broke both his front legs.
Oh, no.
And then our car broke down. So
Oh.
everything went, and I just needed to be out. I needed to be thinking, well, how can I be out the house, not on a paper-based working day? Because then there's no evidence that I've been working that day, which is a bit shady, but like I needed to. I had to be doing something to keep the business going. So I started networking, and I started to get that energy from people.
Yeah.
Like I said, there was...
That was your real Oz opening, I'm sorry. Sorry.
That's all right, it's technology.
I'll come back to that.
Volume, Adam.
It automatically
Do you
turned
know
on.
what? Fair
It was
play.
your real... You've got a laptop... I may as well say you've got a laptop balanced on your head and books in your hands.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I was like, I need to talk about that. But there
It's
we go. I
definitely that
interrupted.
juggle. No,
Yeah.
absolutely.
No, I am looking through your services because I met you when you.
Yes, at
it was early
Darlington
on.
Business
It
Club
was,
at the
wasn't it?
Black
Yeah.
Belt
Yeah.
Grange one.
Yeah. And
So just for the
Yeah.
record then, if you ignore MSG Elevate,
Yeah.
what do you do for other companies? What could you do for
So
a
for
company?
other companies, I'll do web copy, I do marketing stuff, any marketing materials. I do blog posts,
Yeah.
newsletters, email marketing, social content. And it's a hard one, I guess, to pin down. I really ought to pin it down and niche it, I suppose. But then I equally enjoy doing so much different
Yeah.
stuff
I've
and
got the
different
same
clients
problem.
are
Yeah.
different.
we have the same problem
Yeah.
at Hubspoke, and I've literally said, I think I said to you the other day, I'm like, because the other people, when you're coming up through business, they go, you should focus. And I'm like, yes, but the problem is, digitally, in marketing, in
So
your case,
broad.
it's putting words in various places. So whether that's a social media or a website, and then you end up, before you know it, you're doing paid advertisement
Yeah.
against words,
Yeah.
so it's very easily done in marketing.
It's hard when I think you're creative, and it's not something I've always done. I went straight from uni into teacher training and straight from teacher training into teaching and did that for 15 years. And so this is like 4 years, 2 years of copywriting and 2 years of the networking on top of the copywriting,
Yes.
where I've basically been working but playing and learning, and my brain's been on fire. So then
I've
when
just
you're
been playing in business.
yeah,
So do you, though.
Yeah.
You've been coding and doing automation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's I'm
Absolutely
doing the
right.
same. He's doing the same.
Yeah.
and it feels kind of frivolous to say that, but then at the same time, if we're not playing and enjoying learning and thriving and feeling like our brain's buzzing, then what are we doing it for?
No,
So
definitely.
I kind of feel like when a client says, "Could you do this?" and I go, "Yeah." I might not have done it fully
Yeah.
before. I might not have learned, but I know that I've taught myself everything else that I've done. So,
Yep.
and if a
Yeah.
client says, "Could you do this?" and I'll go, "Oh, I don't know if," then I'll say no.
Yeah, of
Obviously, I'm not
course.
going to do that.
Yeah.
And
There's a great
chance it,
great
but-
example that we have. I've personally been involved in. So, working with some personal assistants, and they've got some clients. And
Yeah.
bottom line, they advertised for a job. They had about 200 applicants, and the job specification for my customer was filter through all of these 200 applicants as per the job spec. Yeah, identify who's a good match, who's not a good match. Very tight timescale. This client came to me and I went, okay, let's talk about AI. And it was an exciting for both of us because bottom line, what we did is we fed all 200 applicants into Google's Gemini,
Right.
along with the job spec, and then using the correct wording, we said, identify, filter, work out the best match, summarize, and put it into an Excel spreadsheet. And at the end of the 2.5 hours, we were both high-fiving each other on the screen by going, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And that's the buzz that you're talking about.
Yeah.
We've not done it before. She, bless her, she came to me going, can we do this? Because I've got to turn around to my customer and go, yes or no. And I went, say yes. I think so. I'm not sure, but say yes. And we both were a little bit intrepid to start off with, but we booked an hour session and we booked another hour session. And by the end of it, Katherine, we were buzzing because
It's
it was
just so-
such a good, wow, we've done it.
yeah, such a lovely feeling.
Yeah.
Because it's not like you're doing something that's, yes, there's an end product of money, but it's not for the money. The money is like a facilitator for you to be able to do the thing that you want to do.
Yes.
And to work with the people you want to work with.
Yeah.
And to have the life with the people that you love.
No, absolutely.
So ultimately, there's no wrong thing in doing that. And when you're exploring these new things, then it just makes your brain.
Oh, whew, tick.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And you
Class.
said that last week. I mean, you are in the unfortunate position that Jess is leaving.
I know. Her last day today. And then
However,
a new member of staff.
New member of
started
staff.
on Monday. Also called Adam.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that was our business
I laughed
faff.
too.
Yeah. No, you didn't. You came to me and you went, you'll never guess what, Andy.
I did say, could you change your name?
Right, so we'll call you Dave.
Apparently, that's an unreasonable expectation when you're taking
Yeah,
someone
I'm
on.
afraid
But
so.
No, I'm looking forward to welcoming, of course. all
Yeah,
jokes aside.
of course.
But, Yeah, he's called Adam.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But the same thing you mentioned, it's the buzz of
Yeah.
like, you are growing again. You know,
Yeah,
you've got
100%.
more and more work coming on
Well,
board.
we've seen it. I just said, coming in, we were shooting a webinar in here, and I was out
Yeah.
on the road with portable gear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to need a third set at this rate.
Yeah.
You know, like, because it's
Yeah.
more when the planets collide rather than align.
Yeah,
They're
as
colliding.
always.
They were
Yeah.
aligned, and now they're starting to collide. And you
Yeah.
go, how do we, you know, and that's a business thing. But the example that you've given there about you might not know the exact solution, but you'll have an idea how to get there. Sometimes that's what people are actually paying you for as well.
Yes.
And also, the thing that I was going to say is when you started your business, every job was like that,
Yeah.
figure out. And the thing
Yeah.
is, you get to a point in your business where you go, right, you know, like the podcast studio is now set. This is our room. I know we've changed the arrangement of furniture, but all the kit is the same.
Yeah.
And the table that we normally use is over there, you know. So, like, that's the same. But when it becomes like Mode Shift, we've done a webinar, and on the webinar, we've had all of the schools
Yeah.
on there with teams. So we were like, how do we do this? And I'm just like, right, I just need to think through. So
Yeah.
we had a laptop over there plugged in, taking the audio from these mics. We had a massive HDMI cable going into that TV
Yeah.
so they could see it. We had the sound coming out of their TV so they could hear the kids that were interacting, but then it would cause an echo. So we're like, well, it needs to be that laptop that runs it, and
Yeah.
then we can use it. You know, like, so
Yeah.
it's part of the process and part of the client work is, yes, we can do it. I just need to figure out, in
Yeah.
our case, what plugged into what. And I think when you're starting out in business, a lot of the things that you are doing is you'll have a basis of what your business is. But then it starts, people's requirements don't stay as one.
No.
You know, Heinz have got 47 on the label because it was 47 iterations, the story goes, isn't it? And, you know, if you applied the same rule, I don't think you'd have Dyson Hoovers
Yeah.
No.
no. or vacuums.
Vacuum's not allowed
Yes.
to call them
Hoover's
Hoovers.
brand name.
Yes.
You know, but Dyson was built on innovation, and so is everything. So
But everything's
having a
built
bit
on
of innovation.
Everything's built on the networking. So just coming back to your point, Katherine, you were saying about you getting yourself out there. And if we can touch back on the MSG Elevate, it's not about, oh, I've not got a sale.
No.
Now, oddly enough, and Adam doesn't know I'm going to say this, but working with Adam has helped me collaborate backwards and forwards. So I went downstairs yesterday and David Lamb was there from Orange Sales and Lettings.
Who'd been
Now-
on the podcast.
Who'd been on the podcast.
Okay.
Now, I didn't know David. David was doing a podcast with Adam.
Right.
Me and Adam were doing a podcast. But after the podcast, David was going, bloody technology, bloody this, bloody this, bloody this.
Yeah, yeah.
And he went, you need an Andy. And he was like, what? Now I'm working with David.
Perfect.
And that is
Yeah.
not about networking as in an
No.
end sale. That's
Yeah.
about building a relationship between me and Adam. And,
Yeah.
and the phrase that we always use on is a trusted partner.
Yeah.
Adam trusted me to go, David, you need to go speak to Andy.
Yeah.
David
and there's
did, and
no
it was perfect.
material goal for Adam in
Nope.
recommending
No.
you. It's purely
None at
that
all.
good karma of knowing that he can
Well,
recommend
I know
you
that David's then
well.
sorted. And
Yeah.
equally, it's because it's not just a trusted partner as in that's an us thing. It's trusted partners and David has now got Andy as a trusted partner.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
and likewise,
yeah.
you've kicked us web work
Yep.
where you're going, can you sort this out? And I've gone, yeah. And then
Yeah.
you know that we're supporting that client. We had one the other week that we
Yep.
migrated. And I went, now's the time to look at your email setup and software. You need Andy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
I know that the infrastructure is better. Equally, I've run into things with clients, and you'll have had this. You'll be working on one thing, and usually it's an IT issue. Working on one thing over here, something digital, but they'll go, I'm having a problem with my IT over here, and then you kind of get drawn into that.
Yeah.
So the way I've been dealing with that is you need to speak to an Andy
Yeah.
to deal with it. But I think there is zero expectation. You know, I always say it to people, I'm like, you need to go and work with Andy.
Yeah.
I don't get commission.
No.
Like, because it's not about that. I'd rather they're sorted. And I think, coming back to the network thing,
Yeah.
the quicker that businesses realise that that's what it needs to be about,
Yeah.
particularly at small business level,
Yeah.
particularly at startup in the early days. The problem is at startup in the early days, you're so kind of desperate for revenue and customers, you're
Yeah.
starting at zero.
And you don't have anything to then invest in those.
Yeah, but it's
No.
not letting that desperation take over. It's almost
No.
it's brand building, isn't
Yeah,
it? It's
yeah.
relationship building.
I found that you have this short-term, urgent sort of impatience but you also have this long-term patience, and it's this paradox that exists certainly within me when I was starting out, and even now. I want things now, but I know that I have to just let it happen organically a lot of the time. And certainly, there are obviously networking groups out there that you do receive commission for introductions, and that works. That business model works. It obviously works for a lot of people. There's certainly nothing negative about it in that regard. From my perspective, it's not for me because I can't commit to that time frame.
Yeah.
But equally, I know about 5 or 6 different people who do this one thing, potentially. And if I were in a group where I would have to recommend the person from that group, rather than the people that I've worked with, or rather than the people that I, as you say, have chatted to about the weather, or about their mum's operation, or about their dog, or about things that are actually human. And I'm not discounting that that doesn't happen in those groups, but I've built the relationship more on the importance of the relationship.
100%.
Any one of those 5 might be the right fit for this person that is maybe asking for something. I don't want to recommend someone because it's going to mean money for me.
Yeah.
I want to recommend someone because, as you say, they need an Andy.
They need an Adam or they
Katherine. Need an Adam.
Absolutely.
I mean, we do a lot of the similar stuff probably.
We do.
Yep.
But you are a better fit for certain customers, and I might be a better fit for other customers.
Yeah.
And I might do
100%.
slightly different things to you, and you might do slightly different things to me. So it's all about that nuance. And
It's also about not being protected.
Oh,
yes,
gosh, yes.
and gatekeeping it. My husband...
Imagine, we both do sort of marketing copy type
Yes.
activities. And it's like, no, you can't come on the podcast.
How dare you?
Yeah, it's nonsense, because I would rather build relationships and get to know people. And if work transacts any which way, actually, I'm not bothered about that. I'm just in this game of business. When you start out, you're on your own. I was sat in Middleton St George at my kitchen table. Day one, hadn't been made redundant. Opened my laptop, and I didn't know how to use Photoshop. So there's an example. I didn't know how to use Photoshop. I didn't have any professional gear. I was like at the start of my journey, and I was like, no one's going to find me here.
No, exactly right.
Right?
Yeah.
And then what's more is no one's going to find me here. No one's then going to pay me here, right now. I could do some digital stuff, but unless I'm going, get marketing, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
People buy into people, but it's not about actually buying into people. It's just about developing relationships.
Yeah.
And this is, in general, business terms. Sometimes a client wants to move on. Jess wants to move on, for example. She's going to a fantastic opportunity down in Leeds.
Yeah.
I wish her nothing but the best of luck.
Yeah,
I used to work at the council. They were in here the other day, looking at the room and looking at the facility.
There you
because the council situation, I basically lost my job. There was no money. It was public health funding. Lost my job. Did I throw all my toys out the pram? No. Did I have troubles that I needed to resolve myself? Yes, I did, 100%.
Yeah.
But it's about relationships and keeping it. And it's so important. And then you fast forward 8 years, losing my job is history now. And I've had the opportunity to do events with the council, do all sorts of things. It's been wonderful.
But we've spoken about that constantly, Adam. When we first collaborated together, can Adam do websites? Yes, he can. Can I do websites? Well, yes, I can. Can Adam host emails and stuff like that? Yes, he can. Can I do that? Yes, he can. It's not about going, well, why would I give the website work to Adam when I could make money? It's about realising going, it's better fit for Adam because I can concentrate on doing more of my IT things and more of my email things. Now, Adam has still got some customers that host his emails with him. I'm not sat there going, give them to me because I want that payment. I'm going, it's the right fit for you and your customer, and it's not going to. Now, Adam's had some customers that they've outgrown their stack mail, their web-based email. What's he done? He's gone, you need an Andy. That's
Which
very
is what
kind of
I
you.
did.
Yes.
I was like, I need an Andy.
Yeah.
I need an Andy.
Everybody,
And an Adam, to be honest.
Everyone needs an Andy.
No, but we were talking prior to you being on air. I mean, bless Katherine's obviously growing, and we were talking about, and I was saying, how's your week going? And I went, my week at this moment, my month at this moment is all about small businesses with the greatest respect to those businesses where they've outgrown the single email and the single laptop. Oddly enough, we touched on the Katherine at Outlook.com, Jolly Green Giant 73 at, and I'm like, oh, I didn't change it.
I was dealing with somebody else at the weekend who's got the at Hotmail or at Outlook, and I'm like, seriously,
Absolutely.
And for me, I was saying to Andy, for me, I started the Absolute Word 7 years ago on must be longer than that now actually, on a sabbatical from teaching, doing a master's.
Right.
And I set it up because I didn't know anything else about business. I literally just needed something to do some freelance copywriting to put myself through the master's. And then that lay dormant for however, 7, 8, I can't count. I can do English, I can't do maths. That lay dormant until there was this need. But because I had all of these contacts and all of my previous work and all of that in there, I just carried on with that same email account.
Absolutely.
I'm now at the point where I know the Absolute Word at outlook.com looks like a kid playing shop.
Yeah.
But I need to have the time to sit down and migrate it to hello@theabsoluteword.com.
Absolutely.
With the Elevate, that's from day one was set up with in hello@MSG Business Elevate. But it's about the time and the headspace. It's not the money, and it's not anything else. It's the energy, I think.
Oh, gosh,
and when you
yeah.
are a one-person band wearing all the hats, it's like, right, well, I've got to spin that plate here, la, la, la. And that's when you then do need to invest in someone
That's what we
else to
chatted
do
about
it.
last week with the business faff.
Yeah.
And what it is, it's faff.
Yeah.
I can't be
It's faff, yeah, you don't
bothered
get
to
paid
do
for it.
this.
Yeah.
But if you don't do it, how
What's it
do you
gonna
then
affect?
elevate yourself?
Yeah.
See what I did then? Elevate yourself to the next level.
I could say I've got the message.
I might use that one.
There we go. Get the
Get it in a
message.
reel.
I was
Elevate
working
your
with
business.
definitely.
Yeah.
Stealing it. I was working with I don't know if you know Sam Shenton. She has a professional organising and decluttering, and she does it for domestic and for businesses. And her business is Sorted by Sam, it's called. But she and I did a skills swap. So I worked with her. She was just starting out, and so I worked with her on some web copy stuff. And she came and helped me sort my dining room, which is also my home
Yes,
office.
of course.
And the next time she came, I actually didn't need her to help me because she'd set me on such a spiral of decluttering and sorting that then we just did some business streamlining stuff instead. But she made this really valid point of, you've got this stuff sitting here and you're going to leave it to sort it at some point because at some point there's something that's useful. But how often do you actually use it?
Yeah.
How often have you actually looked into that box? You're waiting to maybe sell it on Facebook Marketplace for 50 quid. But if it's not sitting in your room, cluttering up your energy and cluttering up your space, and your headspace is another thing to do, you would earn 3 or 4 times as much as what it would make on Marketplace.
Yeah.
And I just thought, do you know what? You're absolutely right. And so I just took it straight to the charity. And I thought that room then just became completely transformed. And I think it's the same with my email inbox. I've got all of these folders of things that if I was to just get someone to go click, transport, move, boom, then my brain would just go, cool,
Yes.
now I can
That's
focus
exactly
on.
what I did with mine.
Yeah, you did. Knocked on my door.
Through you.
Yeah.
I can't recommend it enough. But you're right in terms of clutter, space. I mean, when we're trying to set up this room, you see we're sat on a carpet, like the rug, and now the rug has got all the wires underneath.
Yeah.
Things. It's also better for acoustics.
Yeah.
But it was an absolute chew on to go, right, we're going to do a podcast. We're going to do a podcast studio from that decision to having it over there in the other room in a week. But it was like we had to get shelving, we had to do this, and then we moved into here, and then we're like, what are we going to do with here? Then we're like, we need some acoustic foam up, we need, things like that.
Yeah.
And it's just a faff
Yeah.
as I come back
As
to
we
it.
come back
which
to
is-
it.
I got a bit ranty last week, but but it's so important to do. So hopefully, when people come in, it usually has a positive impact. Hopefully,
Yeah.
you had a
Oh, no, it's
positive-
lovely.
Positive
It's really
impact
nice.
when you came in.
Yeah.
But it just takes so much work, and that
Oh, it
was
does.
just setting up the space. But
Yeah.
then you apply it to your work life, your filing systems. I'm looking at it with another client that you support
Yeah.
with the IT systems, and I'm literally going to go into their teams and create some folders because of that. We don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm just going to give you empty folders. I'm going to tell you where to put stuff
Absolutely.
because, it just needs sorting out. And I think the time to do that, and that's all away from the business, not
It is.
generating business.
Yeah.
You get busy and you're doing the work, and it's easy to kind of do that.
Falls by the wayside, doesn't it?
Yeah, and we had
Yeah.
another sort out on our filing, on our business in the summer. Like, right, how are we doing it? Top level, we've gone, right, we'll do documentation,
Yeah.
top folder, media, top folder. You've got a choice of 2.
Absolutely.
What are you working on? Yeah, so if it's anything visual, it goes in the media. If it's anything documented, like Word docs and
Yeah.
presentations and stuff like that. It goes in the documentation.
It's categorising it, because I've just had the same with our lovely friend Facility 6 again. Everything just stored locally on 2 Macs. I've brought them together with Teams. And I won't say the frustration, the understanding. They were like, well, where do I store it? And I'm like, categorise it. Let me pick a document. And I randomly click. I went, what's that document there? He went, that's a house thingy-jiggy. And I went, okay, but next level up, what is it? Oh, it's a whatever. What is it? And then we kept going up, and he went, oh, I get you.
Yeah.
That's actually a contract. And I'm like, good. Create a team called a contract.
Yeah.
And then underneath the contract, what's that? And he went, that's a BCS contract. Got ya.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you could see the penny click.
Yeah.
But before that, they were like, I'm too close to it.
But the problem is you've got to be pulled out of the business. You've got to be away from doing any of the work, and you've got to get that in place.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a question about MSG Elevator.
Absolutely.
What made you start it up? Why? How?
It was a moment of madness.
Actually, postnatal craziness, to be honest.
Was it?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, probably. It's all tied in. It is all tied in. I basically, as I said, started the first business on a mat leave, started the second business on what should be a mat leave but wasn't, because I think it was 5 months after I'd had the baby, and obviously working for myself couldn't take a proper mat leave. I did 10 kit days in the he was born on Halloween, 3 weeks early. I was supposed to be finishing off a project, and then had to just quickly wrap it up. And so I had to go back in to get on with the project probably about a week after I had him.
Goodness me.
But, I say go back in to my dining room, to the PC.
No, I get it. But even so.
But still, So I think it would have been the March of 23, I started a play group, because Charlie was 2.5, kamikaze, jumping off the coffee table whilst I'm trying to feed Jack, whilst I'm trying to hold Jack. Charlie's wanting everything, all the dangerous stuff, knives,
whilst
guns,
trying to copyright,
all of that sort of stuff. And I was like, tried to take them to MJ's Cake Cafe, tried to take them to Italissimo, the 2 walkable cafes, perfect setup. But because I'm thinking he's going to get this, he's going to get that, he's going to get this and all of this, I'm then panicking. And I was postnatal, hormones everywhere. And I was panicking. And I thought, I need a room where I can put the children and they can play, and there's no sharp edges and there's no glass ornaments, and I can have a cup of tea that doesn't go cold.
I used to have Wednesdays off.
Yeah.
And I needed the same thing.
That's it, yeah.
Like 20 months between hours.
So I set up this play group in the March in the community centre, and people started to get to know each other, and I was able to, someone volunteered some information to me over the counter when they first came up, and then I was speaking to someone else and they said, oh, my son also, la la la, and I said, oh, have you met X? They also have such and such. Why don't you 2 chat? And they were able to then share this conversation of an experience of motherhood that was different to other people's. So this group started to grow, and I thought, it's a fragmented village, as you know, there's a disconnect. There's the sort of older, original standpoint, and then there's the new development spiralling off slightly. And there's obviously quite a long stretch all the way down to the 1 row as well. So it was about kind of bringing together folk that didn't know each other to be part of one community. And I thought, why is there not a business thing? Because how many people either work for businesses, but maybe are working from home still, or maybe have flexible working, or are working around children, or how many people run their own business from home or from somewhere else? There must be, probably in this village, providers of majority of business services or types of businesses, right?
Yeah.
But I only know maybe 5. And so I thought, well, give it a bash.
Yeah.
And I think probably it was also because I had so much stress in terms of child rearing and recovery and running the first business. I am a bit of a dopamine chaser, I think. So I think I probably put my energies into a new project because it helps me balance out the sort of stuff I can't control, or the stress that I have in other areas. Stress that I choose, because I could go back into teaching if I needed to or wanted to, and it would still be very, very stressful. But it would be not me having to make decisions for anyone else. It would just be me following which I think actually, on reflection, is more stressful. So I set up the business group, and then I had gone to Teesside Expo. It must have been like the March, April, May something time. And I thought, well, why again is there not something like that in the village? I think the village had its summer fair at the community centre the year before, and it had happened to fall on the same day as the village fete at the cricket club.
Right, yep.
And people on Facebook had been saying, oh, it was so nice. I was able to go across to one and then I go across to the other and see both. And I thought, well, why is there not something that uses both venues and showcases both venues, but equally maximises the use of both venues on the same day to show off to the area, to the region, what we've got in the village?
100%.
Because again, they have similar services, but they're also different providers with different facilities and different identities. So they are one fit for one and one fit for another. So then probably around the same time as I launched Business Elevate, I also set the wheels in motion for the expo in September. Yeah. But when I'd gone to Teesside Expo, I'd looked at the cost, and again, it's a perfectly legitimate costing for the table price. But as a small business owner, where I was on a supposed leave with very limited free money to invest in stuff, you're paying maybe $220 plus VAT for the table, pretty standard cost. But then you're thinking, well, I've got to buy a banner and I need to get that designed. I mean, I could design my own, but other people would be like, well, I'd need to get that designed, and I'd need to buy maybe a tablecloth, and I'd need to get merch, and I'd need to get flyers, and I'd need to get... And now ultimately it then stacks up and you're looking at like maybe £400 or £500 if it's the first time you've ever done one.
The other thing, sorry to interrupt, the other thing you mentioned is on the day that you're going, that business owner is going, I've got to answer the phone, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, how can I do this, how can I do this? It is just so much in one thing that most people just go, I won't do it.
I won't do it.
But actually that's the wrong decision.
And then it means that you're not able to get a foot in the door to have conversations with other established businesses, business providers. You could go as a delegate. Of course you could go as a delegate, but you've then got to market yourself in that conversation in a couple of minutes and have it as a natural thing where you have to explain what you do rather than having a stall that says, I do X.
And it's often hard because I've been at things where I've paid for a table and then you've got people, not yourself, you've got people coming in and then trying to sell you over the table because you can't physically go anywhere. You're trying to catch everyone coming past. And then suddenly you've got another business trying to sell
I'd
you.
Like to come to
It's all about getting out there. If you look back at your days on your kitchen table, if you hadn't made the decision to stand up and go, nobody will know, where would Hubspoke Media be? Hubspoke or still Ratchet.
I nearly called it. I was looking at the name of bike parts. It's called a company because I'm a keen cyclist.
Okay.
And I was like, thinking of tool. I was like, sprocket, tools. No, I was like, tools. And then I was like, oh, a ratchet. And I was like, so my wife would turn around, what do you think of ratchet marketing? No, hang on. That doesn't work. Yeah, I'm saying ratchet.
Yes.
The tool, not the other thing.
However, wasn't a good choice of name.
Then I saw Hubspoke and I was like, Hubspoke model, it makes so much sense, exactly. I'll go with that.
But go back to your point though. That's what people just need to think it's the right thing to do. Otherwise, how will people know about it?
How do you know? And with so much focus, rightly, on social media marketing, some people aren't confident getting their photo of themselves out or getting their own reels or doing those sorts of things. So then how, if you are a small business or even an established business, COVID showed us it changed the path of business. People want to connect with people. They don't I saw something on TikTok the other day, I think yesterday maybe, saying often if there's an ad that's branded, it's way more likely to just be swiped
100%.
than if it's something that's more natural human conversation or showing like personality, etc. And if you've got social media posts saying, come and buy this business, come and buy this, come and buy this, come and buy this.
Buy teams.
It's not any reason for you to know who that person is. Why should we buy from you? Okay, you do this, but why should we buy from you specifically?
Exactly what Adam says.
And if you've then got a seat at the table that's affordable, because it's £40 indoors, £50 outdoors, so it's slightly more than a craft market, but a lot less than an actual business expo. I mean, I had last year someone email and say, why is this so much more expensive than a craft market? And I said, with no disrespect, it's not a craft market.
Correct.
You can take a business and sell crafts by all means, if that's what you would like to do, but it is not a craft market. It's a place for business owners to meet other business owners and potentially collaborate.
Correct.
And that's where the costing is at. It needs to cover my costs. It needs to cover my time. It needs to cover my energy and pay the mortgage, so that, because it's taking me away from other earning potential. But equally, I'm not about trying to make £1 million on this thing. I'm trying to bring folk together to have that ripple effect for longevity. So, yeah, I think when you see it in that way as being £40, then you might spend tablecloth, a banner, a merch, whatever, all your bits and pieces. It's not going to come anywhere near as big of an investment.
No.
And it's therefore going to get you in the door to have conversations with, this year, providers from Darlington College, providers from Elizabeth's Embroidery, providers from Resilient Business, more established businesses that then know more people and can connect you to more people. And it's a levelling that playing field.
Honestly, couldn't agree with you more. And if you actually think about the invite that I sent to you to come onto the podcast, what does this cost me and Adam? Obviously, it's time. Obviously, it's effort. I'm not making money as I'm sat here talking to you.
Yeah.
Is it the right thing to do, to advertise, get my name out there, get MSG Elevate, get Katherine out there, get you out there? Absolutely, 100%. Because the connections that you're talking about, the network connections, I don't know if in 2 to 3 weeks, months, 6 months' time, you might go, Katherine, do you know Andy was right? I'll pick up the phone to him. Can you sort me emails out?
Yeah.
Or you could be talking to somebody else who is going, bloody technology, you need an Andy. And that's the key. That's the business why me and Adam are doing this one. It's all about getting the name out there, getting you out there, because hopefully somebody's listening going, I need a Katherine.
Yeah.
You know.
Or I'm nervous about networking. I had a lady come on Tuesday to Evening Elevate. I'd met her probably at one of the first things I went to, Confidence Club. It's called the Confidence Club. I don't know if it's running at the moment, but there's a lady called Clem Fabian and Sarah Heron. She does colours, what's it called? You look at your colours that best suit your marketing based on
Blue and cyan.
Yes.
Don't use cyan. It costs you a fortune.
Costs you a fortune.
Hubspoke, the wheel, wherever it is.
Yeah.
It's 100% cyan.
Yeah.
So you just empty the you may as well just tip the cyan ink cartridge out.
Into the River Thames.
Regret that. I like the colour.
Oh, yes. I pick up on it every time.
But I regret that.
Yeah, go on.
So they'd done this Confidence Club at Blackwell Grange, and I met this lady. I was sitting next to her, and that was the first and last time I'd seen her until we'd connected on LinkedIn and maybe commented on each other's things a little bit here and there. But she messaged and said, I'm starting to do in-person networking a little bit. I'd really like to come to yours because I'm a bit nervous about it. So she'd come along because it's not a sea of suits. She messaged and said, what do people wear? I said, whatever you feel comfortable in. If you want to wear jeans and a hoodie, wear jeans and a hoodie. If you want to wear a suit, wear a suit. There's no right answer for it. And it's very much often a smallish group, often people from all over the region dotted in, sometimes new people, sometimes regular people. But it's about having that informal, relaxed conversation without feeling I've got to pitch and be on the spot.
Absolutely.
There's a time and a place. 100% there's a time and a place for that kind of networking. Of course there is, because if there wasn't, it wouldn't exist.
Wouldn't exist, absolutely.
And it's certainly not anti-corporate, because corporate is also an important cog in the machine. But yeah, if people are wanting to come to something that's more relaxed and still useful,
yes,
and powerful,
yes,
and replenishing, I suppose. It doesn't feel like, well, why did I spend an hour of my time there?
Oh, I know.
You know.
I'm going to look up something because that MSG Elevate generated something for me.
Okay.
One thing I want to challenge you on, though, is
yes.
how do you, at your dining table, know which technology to help which customer? because we've mentioned it. We chatted briefly at Energy
about
Elevate,
tech.
and you use loads and loads of different things.
I think it comes down first off to the brief,
Right.
as to what they're actually wanting. Some people will just want the bones, will just want the copy.
Right.
In which case, I would usually just do that on a Google Doc.
Right. Okay.
And we might have a shared drive. If it's sometimes tricky because sometimes they want, I've just said sometimes like 50,000 times, and then I've said times again, but still, occasionally they want it in a Word document or they want it in some other format, but 9 times out of 10, a Google Doc will suffice. Equally, sometimes they want a more finished product. It might be that they want actual social assets, so then I would use Canva for that.
Canva, we love Canva.
Which I do love, and I've got the Pro subscription. I fairly early on got the Pro subscription because of its
worth it.
accessibility and
100%
Compare
functionality.
it to what's out there. We use full Adobe Creative Cloud.
Yeah.
It's very expensive. We use it, so it's justified.
Yeah.
But we also have Canva Pro.
Yeah.
Because there's place for that as well.
And I think, you could get into a whole conversation, whether that's a whole other podcast or not. You could get into this very, very deep conversation about Canva versus investing in a graphic designer.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then that would lead you again into copywriters, graphic designers versus AI. There are a lot of things in business. That a copywriter and a graphic designer are actually probably your best bet because it's taking it off your plate and it's going to be done to a really high standard. However, if you've not got the time, the money, whatever, or you just like doing something creative yourself, Canva is a fantastic tool to do that.
And as you get busy, I think it's a case of looking at the business and going, where's my time best placed? And if that is Canva, brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going, I need to get this other job done, but I need to do the Canva stuff.
Yeah.
That's starting to get in the way.
Then that you need to change up.
And then you know that obviously if you outsource that, I'll go to a graphic designer's cost, but if you took it internally.
I can't find it. But I'll go what I was going to say.
Yep.
At the end of the expo that we came to, if you remember, Katherine, we had a lot of pens left over.
Yes.
And we went out and we got all the pens. The day, as I said itself, and I say respectfully, we were not expecting any business, but we supported.
Yes,
Michelle got a lot of good contacts on that thing. However, me and Michelle sat on the evening and suddenly our LinkedIn started going, ba-ding, 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 ba-ding. And there was this lovely lady that we were here. And
Helen.
she was there. Was it Helen?
From In Knots and Stitches.
And she put something about a pen on she put something, what's best about going to MSG Elevate? Getting a resilient pen. It's even got a light.
Yes.
That suddenly went ding, 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 ding. And I went, been worth it just for that.
Yeah.
And that lady loved it, but it was just a pen.
Yes,
but,
that's it.
Bless her, put it onto our LinkedIn and everybody started liking it and tagging it and going, well done, what a brilliant pen.
But I think to explain for people that don't know, the pen is not a cheap pen.
No.
It's not.
It's a cool pen.
It's got a rubber tip on the lid.
So it's a stylus.
It's a stylus that you can use on tablets, phones, whatever. And at the other end, there's a little press light.
Yeah.
And it's made of metal and...
What is it? Whatever it is.
Anti-corrosion, is it called?
Michelle knows the name, but basically it tries to get rid of dirt and grease. Yeah, I can't remember the name.
That bit.
Yeah, it does.
It always has been spotless. I've got them.
Yeah. And it does cost us a fortune to buy them.
Yeah.
However,
but
they are the best pens ever.
And I think that's the example on why. With this place, I've got... you got a coffee this morning, did you?
Yes,
a cup of tea.
Yeah, so we've got coffee machine next door, espresso, pods. And I was like, we're going to do that. And I'm like, every visitor that comes in, we need to make sure, and we're giving them coffee and giving them all that, tea or coffee and that sort of thing. But I was like, let's get the coffee pods, which cost more than just instant coffee.
They do.
But it's a different experience.
Yes.
And then when I've been out, and I think it was David that mentioned it, we were somewhere doing a job, and he was telling someone about the studio. He goes, it's great, you come in, they give you a coffee. That was the first thing he said. And I'm like, good, it resonates. And that's their examples there, why it's worth investing that little bit more thought.
Yeah, definitely.
Sometimes thought can do it.
Yeah.
And then finance.
But Michelle did exactly that when she said, we'll need to get something. And I said, get a pen. Michelle was like, yes, but I'm not getting
just any old pen.
Any old pen. I don't want to call it
Yeah.
an inexpensive pen. And when I'm not kidding, Katherine, she told me the cost. I was like, how much? However, she then showed me, and I went, "Oh, that is so
justified,
cool.
yeah.
That is so cool." Just going back to your coffee, I did put a suggestion that you get a bar in here. Is that gone anywhere?
Bar.
I could have had a 9 a.m. margarita, to be honest.
I might
but
have lost that request.
Okay,
think
I'll make a note of that.
With that, there's two things there. One is, I don't know if you've ever seen Jeff Ram's Celebrity Service.
No.
Jeff Ram is a fantastic Northeast speaker, and he talks about this celebrity service, about if the service you provide for every single customer makes them feel like a celebrity. And it doesn't have to cost the earth. It can just be, you always get a
Attention
decent
to detail.
coffee here.
Attention to
when you
detail,
come
a bit of
in.
thought.
Yeah. And equally, it also then means that you can justify, not that you should have to, but you can justify what you charge for the services you provide, because it's those touch points that show that you have put that attention to detail in. You do get this further service, and you're therefore more likely to get that repeat custom.
Yeah, of course.
With Helen's reel, she's in crafting. Her business is crochet, but how many people then will have seen that?
Absolutely.
So again, there's that element of the day is potentially transactional here and there, but ultimately that ripple effect not only is the conversations, but then there's that social content that can then go out across all of the different platforms. You never know. That's why with the expo as well, like I'll always create a social asset for each person.
100%.
And I put
Really
it out
good.
so as to
really
tag
good.
them, because then there's something shareable for them.
Yeah.
But it also means that the sponsors, they have their logos on the bottom. So when I'm tagging the sponsors now that Instagram has the capability of inviting people as collaborators as well, it's not just a tag. It actually is then even more reachable or reaching, as I should say. So tech is definitely a huge driver in that too.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, when I offered you to do the podcast, again, technology-wise, podcasts.
Yeah.
We've got a number of different customers when I've invited. I don't know if I've got the time, and I don't know what to talk about. And bless, we were walking up the stairs. What's the one thing? Well, I'm not sure I can talk for an hour. And I'm like, let me guarantee you will absolutely
Everybody
talk.
says that.
Yeah.
But then what I mentioned, Adam, was I said out to the end of that, I went, you will now get 4, 5, 6, 7 reels. That alone is worth it, because how many people, when you share it to yours, or when Hubspoke and Resilient share it to ours, how many people go, who's Katherine?
Yes,
Click. Oh my God, I work in Middleton, St George. I didn't know about Energy Elevate.
Click, exactly.
Click. So as I was going back, all of this costs, costs Adam more time and money, but it costs me time.
Yeah.
But is it worth it 100%
Oh, yeah.
to get all of that technology that we're using today, but to get it out there? Again,
Pick up on that though. So for me, yes. Hi, Alina. I haven't said hi to Alina this morning. Good morning. So for me, we've got Alina behind there. There's a desk full of expensive equipment over there. We've got microphone. All of this, it's cost. But for me, it's about putting your money where your mouth is, kind of thing. It's not money in this. Well, it is.
It is money.
Yes,
It is
yeah.
money. But
You're paying Alina
for
how
behind
can
there.
we
Yeah.
offer podcasts to other people
yes.
Yes, if you're not
if we're
leading
not doing
the
it
way.
ourselves?
Yeah.
Because something could change on Spotify. Something like we put stuff out on YouTube. We're constantly experimenting with it and playing with it, and it's kind of just a level of acceptance that I'm like, we need to do this. And when I said to Andy, I need 6 weeks from you, I was more concerned. Like I was ready to do the 6 weeks, but I was like, we were having the conversations, but I was like, I need you regularly at like Friday mornings, and we'll just do it. And he went, yeah, all right, sounds good. I was like, brilliant. And then once we started doing it, well, we haven't looked back. We're now 58.
58.
Yeah, and I've recorded a bonus one the other
You
day.
have.
I
That was
saw.
great.
I went to Karen Brady's Women in Tech Expo last November time in London, and Stephen Bartlett was one of the keynote speakers, and he was talking about. They'd asked him, about, how do you deal with failure, that sort of thing, and I'll use this example quite often when I'm speaking to other small business owners, other people, but he talked about Diary of a CEO podcast, and he talked about he has actually, for that business specifically, and for other businesses as well, employed someone who is ahead of failure. Someone who is not there going, you haven't failed, why are you doing that? None of that. It's, how have you failed today?
Yeah.
What's gone wrong? And how could we tweak that to then potentially get more traction? So it might even be that today we've got the mics here. You've got the cameras set up that way. You've got the position of this way. If you were to move them by a meter, half a meter, 5 centimeters, whatever, would that impact the traction, the engagement, if your camera shots cut in
That's
different
exactly
places
what we
in
are
editing?
doing today, because normally the table's here.
Yeah.
And I said to the team yesterday, I went, let's leave it as it is and let's see how it is tomorrow, because I wanted to sit in and experience
How it would do in terms
and
of the
then
traction
see
as
how
well.
it is on socials.
Yeah.
Afterwards. So
Yeah,
you'll
exactly.
notice we've also got 2 fans in here today.
Yeah.
because
That's the air conditioning.
Oh, and
decided
me.
to
On the
kick
blink.
off.
Yeah.
It decided to break as the first webinar started. It broke in the first.
Oh, wow.
We had the gentleman in this morning. He was busy looking at it.
Been working on it.
Yeah, he's been working on it.
You know, we've had that going on. But in terms of this setup here, I was like, let's leave this here.
Yeah.
Because actually, I want to hear how it
The acoustics
sounds like.
and
Does it
stuff,
actually sound better
yeah.
because we're over the carpet? Does it? You know, there's various sort of micro measures that
But
we
I
have.
agree with what Catherine's saying. It's crazy that you've got such a good setup, but if you move something, you know,
Yeah.
how does it impact? So
Yeah.
moving the microphone 5 centimeters or a meter, which way would it go?
Yeah.
And how? Well, it'd probably mean I would bang my head against it if I moved it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think that analogy of almost like a science experiment, if I put these variables in the mix and I change that one variable, what will the output be? And I apply that to so much of business. And you were talking about when you were starting out, how will I do this? How will I do that? How will people know if I don't do this? How, you know, and what work will I get? And also not wanting to say no to certain projects that you might not always know, but you know how to figure out. All of those things come back to that principle of shy Ben's getting out.
Shy Ben's getting
That
out.
is my mantra. Shy Ben's getting out. Literally, I think I was on, it might have been the January, February, just after I'd had the first baby, and I was on a Net Women networking group Zoom thing, and the speaker was talking about imposter syndrome. And she was saying, because it was a women's group and there was a lot of imposter syndrome, and they were saying, but, you know, men don't necessarily always seem to feel imposter syndrome to the same depths, I suppose. I don't know how true that is, because obviously we don't have the studies for that. But she was saying that when you have a job spec, 9 times out of 10, statistically, a man might apply if he meets maybe half of those criteria and might go, well, yeah, I can do that. Well, why not? Whereas a woman might not apply till she feels she either meets 100% or 99% of those criterion. And she said, why are we limiting ourselves by saying no to ourselves before someone else has said no? If someone else says no, that's the worst that could happen. But if you don't give them the opportunity to say no, then what's the point? So I don't know that it's necessarily needing to be a gendered thing.
There's truth.
I think it
truth
should
in
be
in terms of-
business-wise.
I think I've probably always erred on the side of caution.
Yeah.
As in, can I do that to the 100% of my ability? And it comes a point where, especially with technology, it's constantly moving. I can't do everything to the 100%. Like, I don't know it all. But there are things where I've learned. There's things, photography is actually a really good example. Can I take photos? Yes. Mm-hmm. Do I walk in a room and I know pretty much what settings I need to set up? Yes. Like, before I even look at the camera. Mm-hmm. I know I can get myself probably pretty much bang on every time. I might then have to adjust it by one setting of one thing, and I can walk in and do it. Do I back my ability with photography? Yes. How many situations do I still walk into and it's completely different, and I'm encountering something? The other day I was filming a video and the stabilization on the camera was doing weird things. Yeah. I have no idea why. Never had that. It was like suddenly wobbling the image in the camera. I was like, okay, maybe this camera needs a service or something. Or is it because of the lighting situation, or is it because of the movement? So sometimes you're at your depth in terms of, how do I do that? How do I stop this from happening? We had an issue where we changed, what colour did we change the lights to, Elena? Was it purple? Yeah, so we changed these light buttons behind us to purple. And that threw, on the camera, they still look blue.
Oh, really?
Wow. Yeah, so that blue that we see now on here, to the human eye, it was purple. it threw the
But
white
on the
balance
camera
off. It was
still.
struggling to pick up the frequency, and they're going, "Why is it blue on camera?" And I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
never come across this
yeah.
before. But the thing on the TV was purple. It was like due to the frequency and how the light comes out. How I go to fix that, no idea. You know, like, so you can get so far and you have to react to those
Yeah.
things. And I think that's all you ever end up doing is no matter how far you progress with your knowledge,
Yeah.
you know, that, and equally in business, you never come across the exact same set of circumstances. Everyone has different requirements.
But there's an interesting point, and it's, you know, I'm a great believer, and, you know, it was my particular mentor that told me this, is that when given a decision, I remember a certain meeting where everybody sort of like sat on the fence, and then one person made the decision, and everybody went, I'm not sure about that. It's like, okay,
So why didn't you say something?
why didn't you say something? Now, as it turned out, that decision was wrong. We had another review meeting, and to be fair, a lot of people were very, went wrong. So what this gentleman turned around and went, but I made the decision. What
Yeah.
did I learn? I learned that was a bad decision.
Yeah.
I've learned. You lot haven't learned anything
Yeah.
because you didn't make a decision. There is only a right and a wrong.
Yeah.
Make the decision. Don't procrastinate.
Yeah.
If you find it's the wrong answer, he would go, yes, it was wrong. So what? I learned not to do that again. So the next time you meet that situation, you go, last time I did this, it was wrong. Okay, let me choose this decision this time. And that's how we all learn.
Yeah.
But I think people are sometimes a little bit,
And I think it's the
didn't.
same business of putting yourself out there. People
It's
can be
hard,
going, I don't know
yeah.
how to, you know, I don't know how to talk about business. And I was
Yeah.
going to say, when you're talking about pitching, it's so important for a business to get their pitch right, but you need
Yeah.
to do it in a way that
Isn't sleazy.
if there is a comma in your pitch, in terms of, tell me what you do, I'm like, if there's a comma in your pitch, you're probably going on too long.
Yes.
Like, you need to be like able, it's like being able to tell your grandparent or a five-year-old
Yeah.
in terms of someone removed from what you do. And that's, so us is, we're your marketing media partner.
I'm your IT trusted partner.
Yeah.
There you go.
So like, and then they go tell us more about that. That's when the
Then
comma
you can
happens.
go in.
Oh, well, we do photography, videography, we've done TV advertising, we do web, we do all sorts. We just need to know the size and shape
Absolutely
and
right.
where we're putting stuff. And that's it delivered in simple terms.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important. And now the problem you have in business is when you're starting out, you're like, oh, what if I get it wrong?
Yeah.
I'm like, you're better off saying something than nothing.
Yes.
Correct.
Getting
Yeah.
it wrong, then going, right, does that accurately reflect what I do? And I say this for writing it down.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the importance, and we're doing a website for someone at the moment, getting version 1 signed off
Yeah.
is the most important thing.
Yeah.
So that's signed off on your, you know, version 1 of your pitch, version 1 of your site, version 1 of your copy. Surely you, how many times have you had to change people's copy in some instances?
Other people's copy.
Yeah, so you've written something and then they're questioning.
Yeah. Okay.
what you've
Yeah.
written. Yeah. Does this reflect me?
Yeah.
But at some point, you've got to get to sign off.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you've got to go, this is our line in the sand. This is our decision. We move with that. And then what we'll do is in, say, 6 weeks, we'll go,
Revisit.
how do we change that to
Yeah,
make, you know, so it
yeah.
doesn't feel quite right or it
Yeah.
hasn't quite landed with yourself.
Yeah.
But the importance is to do something and sign off
Yeah.
on something.
And as you go, you know, we were saying earlier there, like you do learn to reflect and go, yes, I could do this and I could figure out this problem and I could work it out, but how long will that take me to work that out? And am I the best person to do this part of the figuring out? And if not, then no, I shouldn't be doing this project.
No,
like if someone was
exactly.
to approach me for a really intense fintech thing,
Yeah.
I would be like, I'm not the best person.
No.
If it
But I know
was
somebody that can
yeah,
help.
and if it was translating that fintech thing into something that anybody could understand, then yes, I would be, because that's what I've
Yeah,
moved into,
exactly.
is the communicating so that anyone can understand
Yeah.
the copy, the messaging,
Yeah.
getting that communication clear rather than jargony and technical.
No, absolutely.
But as you say, it's about trusting yourself and opening up that opportunity to saying yes to projects before other people have the opportunity to say no. And if they say no, fine. But equally, you then learn, and you learn from those processes what you are good at, whether you do have the skills to do it, and you start to trust in your own abilities more and go, yeah, I reckon I can figure that out. I
Yeah.
mean, I remember being probably 8, 9, and my brother like took apart a Commodore 64 and another type of computer, BBC Electron or something, and rebuilt a computer. And I was thinking, how does he even know how to do that? He would have been about 12, 14, something like that. And then he taught me with the BBC magazines how to do coding for games and things. I would never be able, well, not never. I could potentially learn how to code. It's not something that I would want to do, but I have taught myself how to use Google Drive, how to use Canva, how to use TikTok, how to make reels, how to make the whole magazine for the expo, the whole village magazine, all of these things I've created and designed and done purely through trial and process.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely right.
And if you don't, then...
But then you've produced it
already
as well.
said no.
You've signed it off.
Yeah.
You go, there we go. And then next year, when it comes around again, you'll go, how can I make this better?
Exactly.
And, But the fact is, you've got to, rather than not producing anything and not putting anything out there.
Version 1.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think stalling is a major issue in business.
Just before we wrap up, Katherine, I'd like to bring you back to a point that we were chatting about off air. You did a lovely little phrase that I'd like you to repeat. And what it was about, so what we were discussing, Adam, is, funnily enough, Katherine's like, have I got the time, have I got the energy to migrate all of my emails? And you mentioned it's not about the cost. And then you mentioned about the family wealth, and I'll leave you to think it was a great thing.
Well, just... you know, with running the business and being the one hat wearer of every other hat, you are juggling all of these things, and so time is difficult, and stress levels do sometimes rise, and sometimes you're skint. Sometimes you don't have the money to invest in X, Y, and Z that you need. You know you need it, and you also don't have the time sometimes to invest in X, Y, and Z. But what I have to think about is it means that I have the time with my children, that I was at Evening Elevate on Tuesday night and was starting at 7. And I thought, if I was still teaching, I might only just be getting home now.
Yeah.
And that would be a regular thing instead of a one-off. So although I've not necessarily made millions doing what I'm doing, I mean, it would be nice, but that's not the sort of be-all and end-all. If I can keep my overheads, pay what I need to pay, but have the time with my kids and with my husband and my dog and go out for a walk when I want, there's the biggest wealth, isn't it? You know,
I thought it was a nice analogy.
I'm sorry, I'm just sat here. Yes.
Yeah,
totally.
no, absolutely.
Yeah. I think, and I'm in a similar place in terms of holiday.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't had loads of holidays and stuff because I've been working so hard on pushing the business on and working. And I have taken time, and there's a few things that I've set in place, like obviously I've got 2 rooms that we're across. We have clients then you've got a demand for clients to be in here and service them. But, you know, I do school pickup on a Friday, always.
Yeah.
And I do drop-offs during the week, like they're set in stone, unless a specific job that is out the normal, you know, comes in. However, dinner time with the family, at the kitchen table
non-negotiable.
is non-negotiable. Yeah, non-negotiables. For High Performance Podcast, that's a good example. But, you know, I think it's important, especially in a business, to have those in there.
Yeah.
And I think you also, and I've been a victim of this, you focus on the next, what's next,
yes,
what's next,
constant.
what's next, what's cost, what's the issue, what are we fixing, what's broken, what's this, what's that, what are we doing? And actually, sometimes you need to just go, turn off that, be with family, friends, partners, whoever, and just focus on that. And that's partly why I love doing my rugby.
Yeah.
Partly why I like being involved in the rugby club, you know, coaching the kids, being involved with that. But Friday afternoons are one of my favourite slots because I get to the end of the week and I'm like, I am done.
Yeah.
And I've got into a really good habit now of actually turning that brain off and going, we're in the weekend. What are we doing? And I think just to reiterate, I love that, actually, the way you said that, because you can feel like you're on a treadmill. Now, the problem with a treadmill is it's never ending because it goes round and round and round. And you are pushing things on, but sometimes you just have to step off it, knowing that you can get back on again.
Oh, yeah.
And take that time. So I really like that.
I think when you are a business owner, though, you find it hard to justify self-care. And I always try, and time for yourself, time off. So I always when I am feeling a bit negative about that and going, but I can't possibly because I've got X, Y, and Z. That day where I am on the sofa watching Netflix, or I have spent the afternoon on a Tuesday with my little boy, or whatever, or I've dropped everything to go to the park, that is as much an investment in the business as it is is anything else. Because if you're not investing in yourself to be the best version of yourself as a business owner and a partner and a parent and just as you, however you identify, whatever, then you aren't being the best version of yourself 100%. Because you're not investing along that time.
Well, I love that finish.
That's a really good finish. That's poetic. I'll copyright that. See what I did there? So, Adam, we always end the weekend off with, what are you doing for the weekend?
I'm playing rugby against Gizborough.
Winning.
Oh, nice.
Hopefully, otherwise
Sponsorship.
all my clothes get taken off me.
Yes.
Exactly.
Don't lose them.
So I'm playing there tomorrow. Out for a birthday meal with friends tonight.
Oh, lovely.
Nice.
Where are you going?
Redworth Hall.
Very nice. Are you picking up the tab?
Swish.
No.
Oh.
But yeah, we are. Yeah, we're going to Redworth. It'll be.
That'll be lovely.
Yeah.
That'll
So
be
I'm
nice.
really excited. Kids as well. Like.
Oh, good.
Oh, it's going to be
kids,
great.
Yeah.
So I was laying down some non-negotiables.
Will you?
In
You
our house.
will
In
not.
fact, the word I'm using is what's the standard with our children.
Nice.
They are
Very good.
10 and 8. What's the standard?
Yeah.
Because they'll just go, I'm going to go with my school uniform. Like, you're not going in your school uniform. We are going to dress smartly. We're going to make an effort.
Yeah.
Why? Well, I'm not wearing my school shoes. You know, like, we just need to, we're going to go out, we're going to look smart, and we're going to have a nice evening. We don't do it often at all in terms of going out. You know,
exactly.
But we were not turning up bedraggled, and we will look nice.
Yes.
Correct. Well done, you.
We'll
Having
probably
a
be
wash.
bedraggled.
Yeah, we'll probably,
Yeah.
it'll be you that'll let the side down.
I'll just fall asleep.
Exactly, 'cause you've
But
had-
so very different experience tonight. So
Oh, lovely.
looking forward
And then
to it.
Sunday, chill.
Coaching kids, matches. So
Gosh, that's a full-on weekend.
yeah, and then
Busy
and then
one.
we've got friends calling in for Sunday lunch afterwards as
Oh.
well. So yeah, look forward.
very
I haven't
good.
seen them in a while. So
Oh, that'll
that'd
be
be
nice
lovely.
though.
yeah, do you know
Yeah.
what? It's
It's
although I'm
busy
saying
but
I'm all
good.
over with rugby and things like this, that's different because I'm
Yes.
just playing and enjoying. It's you're in something, and then the downtime around it is really nice. Actually,
Yeah.
like you can have some
Yeah.
really good. Like Sundays are really quite special. Actually,
Yeah.
You've done your rugby on a morning, then you got the rest of the day. We normally have a Sunday roast anyway,
Yeah.
so friends coming over. It's actually no different.
Wonderful.
We've just got a couple more seats at the table.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
What about you?
Lovely. I'm not actually sure. Last weekend we were recovering from an illness in the house, so I think this weekend we'll actually enjoy getting some fresh air, getting out,
Yeah.
get out with the dog. He's like a kangaroo on some kind of drug. He's a cocker spaniel, so he's just an
Who
idiot.
takes who for a walk?
Yeah, well, exactly. Hence why he broke both his legs 2
Yep.
years ago. But so we'll probably get out for a walk. The boys are now at a nice age where actually we can stick one of them in the baby carrier, and the other one will walk.
I think my children would still want to be in a baby car.
Yeah. Oh, I
Carry
mean,
me,
to be
Dad,
honest,
carry me,
if I
Dad,
could be
carry
in
me,
it, I
Dad.
would quite enjoy that. But we'll probably do like the golf course route in, and down by
Lovely.
Dinsdale
Yeah.
through the woods. So that'll be nice. And then just pottering, cleaning, laundry,
I was going to say
survive.
the usual things. Yeah,
What
exactly.
about you, Mr. Reed?
Yeah, what are you up to?
It's a fun-packed weekend.
Well, hang on, you were fun packed last weekend.
Yes, went down to Bognor Regis.
Oh,
So I'm part of the Heritage Chart, which I do for Mike Reed, the Radio 1 DJ.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And we did the Butlins Christmas special. So we had dressed up
Okay.
in Christmas, and we were all singing Christmas carols. So that was lovely, but it was a long drive back, 6.5, 7 hours back. This weekend, I'm going to go see Mike and Noel Cronin from Talking Pictures at Montford down in Manchester. I've been invited over to there as a guest of Mike, which is very kind. But the highlight, Saturday evening, going to see Peter Kay.
Oh,
Are you?
perfect.
2 years ago, we booked the tickets.
Gosh, yeah.
So
lucky
going down
have
to
got
Manchester,
them.
travelling down on Saturday morning, meeting up with Mike and Noel, hopefully a bit of a meal or thing. Then going to see Peter Kay on the Saturday, going back to Monmouth on the Sunday to again catch up with Neil and Mike and Talking Pictures, and then a slow drive back.
Oh, nice.
So,
Leisure.
that'd be
Is that
nice.
Corp Arena?
Sorry,
Is that the Corp Arena, the new one?
honestly, I just know it's Talking Pictures Monmouth. That's all I know
you go.
in terms
Fair
of that. But
Fair enough.
so it's another busy weekend.
That sounds great.
But nice.
It does sound
Joyful.
nice. It does.
Joyful weekends.
Can I just say thank you so much, Katherine?
thank
That
you
was
very
a
much for having me.
Wonderful insight. We've had some poetic ending to our podcast, but I think that
Well, you
takes
can take the
biscuit.
girl out of English teaching, but you can't take the English
No, it's
teaching
very
out
nice.
of the
I
girl.
like the idea that you said that. Yeah, you may not be rich in terms of that, but the wealth you've got with the time you spent with the family.
Yeah.
It's a really nice. It's a really nice thing.
I think
that.
it's an important footnote.
It is.
Because
It is.
we've talked a lot about business and what do you need to do. I talked about business faff
Yeah,
last week.
business faff.
And
Faff,
actually,
faff, faff, faff.
sometimes just turn it off.
Yeah.
Just turn it off.
No, that's
Yeah.
my job. Turn it off.
Turn it and turn it on
off
again.
and on again, yeah.
Make
£50,
sure it
please.
turns
I've done my job. £50, please.
£50. Anytime I try and do a job at home with my wife's computer, I'm like, £50. Did you turn it on and off again?
Yeah, exactly. So, no, thank you so much, Katherine.
No,
it was really
thank
good.
you. I really appreciate
so,
being
hope everybody has a lovely weekend. We'll just say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.